Hello and welcome to They're Not Sending Their Best. Today we are going to be talking about the one and only Marjorie Taylor Greene. I'm Tim Phillippe, and with me as always is Andrew Turner. Andrew, I know you think you can fix Lauren Boebert, but can Marjorie ever be fixed at all?
I'm not interested in that concept.
That's fine. That's fine.
Also, to just start off, I will be calling her Marjorie Titan Greene, as she does resemble a Attack on Titan villain.
I am going through that show again, and it is, that, oh my God, never put those two
Fascism
together.
The show?
Yeah, Fascism the show, yeah. It's such an amazing concept of a cartoon, but she really looks exactly like one of the Titans. Like, oh my God, the teeth and all.
Yeah,
really the teeth and the weird faces she makes. Like, oh my God, I'm looking at the picture right now
with a full teeth smile, like just with her face like coming up over a wall. Like, it's beautiful.
Oh my God, I could geek out to that show real hard right now, but I won't. But I will never look at Marjorie Taylor Greene the same way again.
We all know political nerds don't like anime or anything. God. Anyways.
Yeah, especially one that's not a satire, but whatever. It's kind of about Nazis. Everybody go watch Attack on Titan. Unless you're queasy with blood, then maybe don't watch that because it's violent. So yeah, Marjorie, why is she bad for America? Well, simply just because, I could say that she harassed school shooting victims or is just an outright racist and hates trans people. That should just do it. But today we got to go through a whole bunch of things. And the articles that we're referencing are in the description.
Yeah, you could have used all of those monikers and like facts about her for any modern Republican. So that's
pretty
not
much
what separates her as like.
Oh, she's
not
towing the
their
party
best.
line. That's for sure. Like,
Yeah.
she's no different than the majority of the GOP out there, but she is uniquely, sucky, crazy.
Definitely not one of their best.
She is not one of their best. And they sent her straight over. Well, for starters, we're going to go down a list of crazy things she's done and said. Everybody knows the Jewish space lasers, claiming that not the Murdochs, the Rothschilds control some sort of laser in space that is taking people out. I'm sure that thing came into play with the whole Hawaii fires thing. I know people were talking about lasers from space with that bullshit. It's not true. There is no gigantic laser in space. And if anybody created a crazy laser in space, it was Ronald Reagan with Star Wars, and that doesn't work anymore.
I don't want to say there's not a crazy laser in space.
I'm sure there is. It's not controlled by the Jews.
Jews,
Come on. Like goodness.
Israel would already be using it if there was a crazy.
Dude, Palestine would be fully gone if there was some sort of Jewish space laser. Like, come on,
it
don't
would
be
have
dumb.
been like the world's not enough. Like the scene in the James Bond movie, The World Is Not. Which one was it? Which one is it where he's like fighting a North Korean like guy who'd got plastic surgery? And his henchman has like diamonds in his face. It's the last Pierce Brosnan one. Die Another Day, maybe?
Die Another Day, something like that. Yeah.
He like windsurfs down a crashing like.
That's the worst CGI I've ever seen in a movie. Yeah, I know which one you're talking
about. It's horrible. It's great. Halle Berry is the Bond girl in it though, which was a good choice. So
she's fantastic, but that movie was bad, real bad. There's also Moonraker. They kind of did the same thing there with the crazy laser in space, but James Bond, thank God he's real.
I never realized that.
Yeah.
They've used space laser twice.
There's always a sky beam. We've been over this on this show. Every movie has a sky beam, and Marjorie has just seen too many movies. Like, that's really it.
She saw Suicide Squad and she went documentary.
She saw, and she didn't see the good one. That's for goddamn sure.
The bad Suicide
The
Squad.
bad Suicide Squad. So her exact quote on the whole space laser thing was regarding the California wildfires, that they beamed from space and controlled by a prominent Jewish banking family with connections to powerful Democrats. Yes, we know. The Rothschilds. Yeah, wow.
Oof.
Big oof. Could that be Soros too? Could she be blaming that on Soros?
Sure. Soros, Rothschilds. They'll throw anybody in there.
I didn't think the Rothschilds were
anyone in there that's to the left of like Ronald Reagan and also Jewish. They'll continue their anti-Semitism. Anyone who's to the right and Jewish, they'll give unlimited money to. So it's a complicated scenario right now. And I mean, there is some truth to this, and like that was a little bit of a flippant joke, sure, but I mean, sure. I like the evangelical and right-wing base of the Republican Party does not like Jewish people. They just support Israel for its religious and like
they
military
want
industrial. Yeah. They feel like one day the Jewish people will rebuild the Temple of Solomon on the Mount, which would never happen unless Israel was in control of the entire city of Jerusalem. Of course, I don't think it'll happen then either, but
Yeah.
they want that to happen because that in the Book of Revelations is one of the first signs of the seven seals being unleashed or something of that nature.
Yeah.
So
it's
like,
a whole Book of Revelations thing. That's the only reason the right wing and the evangelicals want to support Israel, because they want Israel
That's one
to
of
be
two.
destroyed.
Well, one of three. The second one is that like the Israel is like the largest American base in the Middle East. Like we can launch as many warplanes and ships and soldiers from it if we want to invade
It really
any
is
of those
kind
other
of a
nations,
perfect
including Iran. Yeah,
like spot, like from a point of playing Risk, like that's kind of a perfect spot.
Like, and I mean, like England and France also support them for that reason. And then the third reason is that a lot of AIPAC dollars, specifically, from right-wing Israelis, go into the coffers of both Democrats and Republicans to try to influence them on Israeli policy. And they will happily, both Democrats and Republicans, oftentimes, John Fetterman's an example of this with his disappointment, they will take that money in order to get elected and then compromise any values against like genocide or apartheid or occupation in order to get that money, right? So I think that there are three reasons that the Republican Party often kind of tampers down their base's anti-Semitism, and none of them are because like these individual Republican representatives are like friends of the Jewish people. They're all financial or military based or like bigotry based. like the evangelical reason of like they'll rebuild the temple, like that story doesn't end with a lot of Jews getting into heaven. Like like
no, it involves them converting them to Christians somehow,
and everyone dying if they don't convert to Christianity. So I mean, I think that the whole laser thing really showed that nasty underbelly that there still is anti-Semitism in the Republican Party. And let's all remember those people who were marching in Charlottesville, literal open Nazis and Klansmen, like ask those people who they're voting for every November. And I'm going to tell you, they're voting for one specific party, and it's not the Democratic Party.
Yeah.
So,
and despite the right's effort to paint the Democrats as the party of anti-Semitism for supporting, freeing Palestine, and it's very much backfiring on them very, very hard right now. And man, they are wild people.
Not our best.
Not our best. So much so that they, at least Marjorie, thinks that any sort of pride flag is a pride that is called a hate America flag. So any pride flag, according to Marjorie Taylor Greene, is a hate America flag.
Okay, 1 second.
Or a Black Lives Matter flag, or anything that is not that. Yeah.
She is a representative from Georgia. She has regularly defended the Confederate flag, a literal anti-American flag. like the flag is designed to be a rebellion against the United States of America. Yet the pride flag, which you see at pride parades and on college dorm room walls, is anti-American.
Yeah, well, she's complaining because Biden's State Department has already raised the flag over our embassies, and that doesn't represent the vast majority of America.
Audience. All our embassies are gay now. I don't know what to tell you.
She says that the Black Lives Matter flag represents a group who wants to erase our history and bring mass destruction to our country through communism. So yeah, like she just is mad that they want to get rid of the Confederate flags. They want to get rid of the statues
and
to Stonewall or Jackson. Or was he a Union guy or was he a Confederate?
No, Stonewall Jackson was a
Confederate. Confederate. Yeah.
So like, I do want to show, like, a lot of times people will say like, oh man, this Republican Party today, it's not your grandfather's Republican Party, that whole Biden, like, I wish we had the old Republican Party.
Even your parents' Republican Party.
well, I disagree. I think that while the Republican Party is much more open in its fucking jingoism and racism and homophobia and sexism, like, they were doing this same thing, in the 60s and 70s. They were saying the Black Panther Party was actually an infiltration of communism. Like they were saying that Martin Luther King was a communist, like agent. A famous right winger by J. Edgar Hoover tried to convince MLK to kill himself and sent him a letter in Birmingham jail to do so.
He did do that. I mean, like
they exposed that he was sleeping with another woman and having an affair that wasn't his wife. I mean, like, the right has always used the Red Scare, the Red Fear of communism, as an excuse to target minority groups. Like, and so now LGBTQ people, since they're open in society and are actually accepted by a majority of people, are going to be that next level of like, well, it's communism. And same with Black Lives Matter. Like, it's an easy way to degrade an entire like social movement and say, and not address like police brutality and say, well, it's communist, which is insane. Like,
I know.
Like, there's no one in the United States that's advocating for like outright authoritarian communism other than like people on the internet, on Tumblr and Twitter. I like, there's no one, not one elected communist official.
Just
like,
anything.
We can't even get democratic socialists elected.
We have like 3 and at most. And yeah, it's just crazy that just anything that is not evangelical Christian right wing is it's communism. It doesn't matter what it like. I remember when free healthcare was communism. Now everybody wants it. Now the Republicans like it too, so they're not fighting it anymore. Like for a while, I mean it seemed that gay rights and trans rights were, fine for a bit. And then now that's literally the only thing they care about. And now all of that's communism, just like you said. So much so that like, you got Marjorie here who's like during a, what was it? She held up a sign somewhere that said there are two genders, big caps, male and female, trust the science. And has been constantly just trolling just trolling trans people and just trying to make them feel like garbage in her own way. And it's just, I know we talk about this on the show all the time, but like it's this being the new left-handedness or whatever, but it's just it's exhausting because like, dude, get a new thing to give a shit about. Like no one really cares about any of that stuff. They just want food on their table. They want a job. They want clean water, and they want to, not worry that we're going to nuke France in the middle of the night for some reason.
The problem is people do care. I don't think average people care.
Average people don't care. I think there's a swath that do, but it's a bunch of right-wing nut jobs that march in the middle of Charleston. Like,
but this is key. Like, there's a reason that the party is acting this way. There's a reason that they're not rebutting Trump. There's a reason that people like Marjorie Taylor Greene are getting elected, and that's because their base wants that, and that's because their base are fascists. Now, I'm not saying that some of them aren't brainwashed and recoverable. I'm not saying that any of I'm definitely saying some do identify that way, but I'm not saying all of them identify as fascists. I'm not saying they think that they're the bad guy, but like they have fascist tendencies. They want a strong man in the White House. They want a king. They want a white ethno state. Like they want a Christian ethno state. And they are American fascists, even if they don't identify that way. Now, there are some that do, Nick Fuentes, like there's even Kanye these days, like are openly fascist. But the idea that Joe Biden is running on and a lot of Democrats are that, the Republican Party is different than the MAGA movement, like that they're separate.
No, they're not.
Is ridiculous. It's ridiculous. And I think it's political poison. It's a bad idea to try to separate them because instead they could be saying, look at what the Republican Party represents and what they're willing to accept and use that against every Republican. And instead put the Republicans on the moderate Republicans on the back foot where they have to start denying their party and saying like, well, I'm not that kind of person. Well, I wouldn't do that. And that changes the narrative, right? Instead, they're replying to they're showing their great support for Israel. They're making compromises on trans rights bills, like here in New Hampshire. Like they're going once again with this trap that if we just meet the Republicans in the middle, then they will be good statesmen and stateswomen and meet us in the middle as well. And they won't instead gut everything they can from it and then go farther to the right the next election cycle.
Yeah.
And Marjorie Taylor Greene is a perfect example of this. And I think that like, whether it's the impeachment of Biden that we see that's completely useless,
right?
Or like you have written here, the history of like just baseless shit that she says that's completely not even like centered in around fact, let alone on fact. Like the QAnon shit that she regularly subscribes to, it is like I still remember the alternative facts line from the first year in the Trump presidency.
I haven't heard that phrase in a long time. Alternative facts.
But it's so true. They live in a different world. Like at least liberals live in the same world with me, right? Like we can have a debate about capitalism or about Israel, Palestine, or about like money and politics, like with liberals. And most of the time, if they're not on TikTok making comments or YouTube, if they're actually in person, people are pretty open-minded and like non-heated, and we'll have that conversation. And that's same with, I'd say, moderate Republicans, although they are a much dying breed. But the current base of the Republican Party and the far right is living in a delusional candy land where there are Jewish space lasers and there's a adrenochrome pedophile ring run by Hollywood and RFK, like JFK Jr. is coming back to take the vice presidency with Donald Trump. Like, and it would be one thing if this was Alex Jones saying it, if there were random people on the internet saying it. Marjorie Taylor Greene is an elected representative saying this shit. Yeah. This is a person who has her hands on the lever of power. And she is saying right-wing anti-Semitic conspiracy theories. Yeah. And that doesn't
She's
even
on committees, man. Like like major policy things.
She's a lieutenant to the former Speaker of the House. Yeah. Like, she is literally whispering in the ear and the person who's third in line to the president at one point in her career. Like, the fact that they have allowed the far right to take over their party is not a thing that is good for the Democrats electorally. It may be, but that's not worth it when we consider that that they are slowly but surely stoking the fires of fascism underneath their base and making their base go more along with, you know what? If this is all true, why not commit fucking genocide against our own people? Because they can justify it then, right? Like, if there are Jewish people meddling in our politics as an entity, well, then we can justify like hanging these Jewish people out to dry, literally or figuratively. If there are QAnon conspiracy theories and our republic has actually been overthrown, well, then we can justify doing January 6th or overthrowing the current government because democracy has already been subverted. Like, Marjorie Taylor Greene is the perfect example of this. We've talked about Lauren Burbid already. We're going to talk about a lot of people that suck. They're just the worst, and you will see them in the news. Like I like Ted Cruz, for example, just a scum of the earth human being,
made of worms.
Even Ted Cruz doesn't believe that shit, right? Yeah, like he may say it, he may dog whistle to it, but I know Ted Cruz, the Harvard graduate, like is not actually thinking like, "There's a Jewish space laser." Woohoo!
No, like he's not thinking that.
But Marjorie believes this shit.
Kool-Aid, like it's crazy. Like, and so much so that like back on just how much she just constant, like, I mean, the majority of her attacks seem to be on just anybody who's in the LGBTQ plus community. So we tried to, or I don't know if we actually passed it. Doesn't matter anymore because they're probably going to dismantle gay rights anyways. But the Equality Act, which she said that that she predicted apocalyptic consequences if it passes, saying God created us male and female in his image. He created us. The Equality Act that we are about to vote for on this week destroys God's creation. It also completely annihilates women's rights and religious freedoms. It can be handled completely different to stop discrimination without destroying women's rights, little girls' rights in sports, and religious freedom, violating everything we hold dear in God's creation. So how many times did she say fucking God? Like 3 times. Like, you know,
it's the new 9/11, you know. Like,
I know.
You just got to mention it.
That's some crazy shit. Like the mere fact that, you know, people just being themselves, who she doesn't have any contact with. She doesn't have any contact with any gay people or trans people or anybody on that spectrum at all, other than her, which, you know, I know there's rumors that she's gay, but I'm not going to entertain that because I think the gay community would just throw her right fucking back if they could. Like, like,
I mean, there are log cabin Republicans. That is a thing. Sure,
but she's
less so than there used to be. But.
Yeah, way less so than there used to be. I mean, we had George Santos for a while, and we didn't have him. Congress had him and got rid of him. But
he's my boy. He's my boy, and I love him so. He's my sweet little boy. He's my little soldier.
He'll be back.
My sweet cheese.
I'm waiting for him to come back in some crazy way. But no, with her, it's just so nutty that
the most
like
dubious man in New York City.
They're so focused on, you know, like how, I mean, it's the Alex Jones, they're turning the frogs gay kind of a thing. Like, you know, that this bill will destroy God's creation. No, it's pretty like that's. I mean, like
that is. So I think that puts a lot of power in the United States.
Yeah,
Congress.
like that is fucking crazy, dude. Like that it would destroy. Like a gay person, do you realize how many gay people have gotten married since we passed marriage equality? And do you realize how many fucking straight marriages were destroyed? The only ones that were people that realized that they were gay and divorced their spouse at
people
that
who
point.
could come out.
Which, fun fact, not a straight marriage at that point. Like, is that even? That's probably a problematic term. But like, if you have to ask, it probably is. Just like if you have to ask.
Straight marriage is probably fine. It's better than implying marriage itself is straight.
Yeah, it's straight. There you go. Like, just man, oh God, she's exhausting. I ramble about this woman. I don't rant. I don't get anything really concise when it comes to her. It's just like when you're so mad about someone, just like this thing they did. Blah, blah, blah. Like, I just kind of. She's so nuts that she makes my brain think I'm nuts and then just kind of tick off into a different direction of not thinking straight. Like, I mean, she thinks that there's going to be the extinction of straight people in a few years because everybody's gay now and everybody's trans now. Like, that's
we can hope.
We can hope. She calls the Democrats the party of pedophilia, like, because Ketanji Brown Jackson didn't give too harsh sentences to people who had child porn in their hard drives, which was apparently consistent with every judge in the country. Like,
let's look up how many Republican representatives and senators and governors and state house members have been convicted for child.
Oh yeah, go do
inappropriateness.
That.
I don't want to say the R word, but
talk about how that she thinks that trans people have unnatural fantasy. She said all of these things. Like, it's just like. She calls anybody who's being, aided through, a transition process is going through child abuse and anything like that. I mean, it's just. There are no words. There are no words for this woman, like, who is just the worst and bad for America. I mean, forget about the gazpacho police. That's just the dumbest thing she said. Not to mention the most hateful things she said. Did you find a number?
I don't have a specific number. I do want to remind everybody that Dennis Hastert, I believe, is that right?
He was the Speaker of the House under Bush. He's a PDF.
Yeah, he's a PDF. He was convicted of PDF activities, and the Republican Party still has not censured him or kicked him out or anything.
Google real quick how many evangelical pastors have been convicted versus drag queens.
I know there's been at least 28 this year.
Yeah, alone. It's 28. That was the number. Okay.
28 clergy convicted of PDF crimes. With 0 drag queens or trans people, weirdly enough.
Yeah. She also outside of the general hate of the LGBTQ plus community, which is just crazy hateful for. Remember monkeypox? I think they actually ended up changing the name of it later on. I don't remember what it was changed to, but started making fun of that when it was a potential other pandemic that was going to start, and luckily we nipped it ahead of time and just said it's just another scam.
Viruses again.
Yeah, said that there were, FBI agents who were inside Mar-a-Lago are all traitors to democracy. So anybody that's just not Trump is a traitor to her. And yeah, that's all I have on that one. That's one article about all of this stuff. Not to mention my favorite article is The Atlantic's why is Marjorie Taylor Greene like this? That's a fun read. It's very short,
that is
but
a good title.
it's just
title.
Such a funny title. But a few things that weren't in some of these, she promotes, God's design for marriage, right? Which to me traditionally means don't have sex before marriage and got to be straight to be married. She definitely got divorced and definitely started banging some Democratic gym leader. I say Democratic because he's a Democrat. You come to find out,
Democrat.
A registered Democrat who, not a gym leader. Gym leaders from Pokemon.
Yeah, she was having sex with Lieutenant Surge.
With Lieutenant Surge. He kind of actually looked like Lieutenant Surge. He was a big beefcakey guy. I can't find a picture of him, but
you gotta get a geode. You gotta get a geode before you go to Lieutenant Surge. Go into the cave.
Just go to a Diglett.
Catch a geode.
And you're fine.
You can go with a ground type, but a rock type is really gonna do
oh, yeah.
damage to those electric types. So
yeah,
I'd say
really
get a geode. level him up
Geodude,
to a
get it right.
graveler.
Oh yeah,
That's right. Geodude, my bad.
It's Geodude, man.
Geodude, bro.
Oh my! Oh yeah, she's claimed that the more attacks on trans people. Said that the Uvalde murderer was a trans person. And
so that's just a lie.
That's just a straight up lie. I mean, my God. So
by the way, a report came out about the Uvalde police, and we'll have to do a actual episode on this. But talking about how hundreds of officers just stood around and did nothing.
Oh yeah.
While a man killed a bunch of children.
Yeah.
So, and it's really funny because
they were scared for themselves or something like that.
All the time we have to say it's okay that they constantly violate rights and harass the public and like don't solve crimes most of the time because their job is so dangerous and they're putting their lives on the line. Well, they don't put their lives on the line for a school full of students that are being massacred.
Yeah. Like it's
just a fun little ACAB moment for me.
Yeah.
In the middle of the episode.
And that's been your ACAB minute.
That's how the clip is.
Oh yeah, I know. If I
ACAB minute,
I'll work on that. That's like the NBC's The More You Know thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Don't sue me, NBC.
And it just has a cute little pig in a cop's hat dancing at the bottom. Yeah. Well, we both smile at camera.
Oh my God.
Maybe our teeth like sparkle. Yeah, we'll work on that.
Man, she God, yeah, don't get me started on her love of the police. And then there's just one last thing I did want to mention, and this is a fully unfounded claim. People may defute it. Anybody? Only the fans know that.
Call back.
Sometimes you want to say refute and dispute at the same time, and it comes out defute. But
we're gonna make up a lot of words.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And you know what? Maybe I created a new word. All words are made up, anyways. Get over it.
That's true. That's true. All words are made up.
Again, alleged, whatever. This may not have happened, but there was definitely a person who definitely walked like Marjorie Taylor Greene and wearing a hoodie around and on January 6th and laid a pipe bomb down there. And she just even came out and basically half-assed defended it, saying it wasn't that big of a deal and nobody was even near there, so why care? That's not exactly what she said, but there is a tweet. It's on, I think it's on the American Conversation.
She was defending the fact that there was a pipe bomb on January 6th, and it is suspicious because there was a whole internet rumor mill going around that she was the person who laid that pipe bomb.
You've seen the video. I've seen the video. I don't know.
No actual evidence for that.
No actual evidence. No actual evidence. But if she's gonna fucking say that all of shit that all of the Parkland shooters are fucking crisis actors after she stalked David Hogg, is that his name? The one activist kid that came out of the park.
David Hogg?
Yeah, I think that's his name.
David or Daniel Hogg?
She followed him around with a camera, calling him a crisis actor. She followed him around, like all this other shit, and like all these other survivors, and would harass people like that. So it's not beneath her, so to call people like liars and make things up about people. So yeah, I'm not making anything up about her. And it's irresponsible to suggest it. Yeah. But it's also irresponsible to suggest that Parkland survivors are fucking faking it. So fuck you, Marjorie Taylor Greene.
Jews have a space laser, or that or that Black Lives Matter is communist. Like half the things we've said today are just baseless. Like
if we were saying all of this, and like saying Black Lives Matter is communist and LGBTQ people are going to ruin the country, blah blah, we would get fucking taken off YouTube immediately, and we would be sent over to Rumble.
We would be already paid by the remaining Koch brother to have a show.
Yes, that's true.
To be fair,
we would be up on Daily Wire with that fucking cartoon with Adam Carolla. It would be great. Roseanne. It'd be great.
You'd have to go back into the youth pastor like moniker. And I would have to do the whole like grift of like used to be a communist, now a conservative. But we could make so much money grifting.
Republicans, if you got, we're very much for sale. We're not saying that we're not like. China,
for
Republicans,
1 million flat, I will be a Republican for 1 year. I will be a right-wing reactionary for 1 year. So every million you give me is a year.
Yeah.
I will
and then I will leave after that. Somehow not really use my real signature on that NDA that I would for sure have to sign, and then start spouting all the secrets that I find out, which is somehow.
Can you imagine what the
jail.
Daily Wire NDAs are like? Those got to be like 8 pages long. They're not Steven Crowder NDA long,
that,
but
yeah. They're long. Ben Shapiro's covering his ass. That creepy.
And it's not much of an ass to cover. He's a very small man.
It's tiny guys like Levi from Attack on Titan. Bringing it right back. And a Titan, Marjorie might have, maybe Levi got to Marjorie at some point during that show. Let's hope. If you don't know what I mean, go watch Attack on Titan. It's fucking rad.
We should definitely exit.
It just ended.
We should just exit this podcast with the Attack on Titan theme song. Just awesome.
Which
anime
one?
music.
Because the season 4 is dope, and I know you're not there yet. Get there now.
No,
it's on
I'm
Hulu,
not.
dude. I've watched it 4 times through. You can get there. Like I've watched it 4 times. Oh man, I watched that show.
Next thing you're gonna be like, just check out One Piece.
There's only 80 episodes of Attack, or 80 something episodes of Attack on Titan.
I want you to repeat 1600 what you just said.
There's only 80. Yes, I know. And there's 1600 episodes of One Piece. So what? I don't.
They're not comparable. I agree, but like, still, you're asking me for an 80 episode commitment, and I'm maybe 20 in.
They go fast, and technically, the theme song takes up the majority of the time. It doesn't matter. Like, audience, I'm
sure it'll be great.
Maybe I'll put the very last one in it because again, rad song. It's a metal song. Marjorie Taylor Greene's a Titan, and she's coming for the walls. She brought down Wall Maria, definitely brought down Wall Rose, and might come for Wall Cena if you're not careful. And Democracy.
And 3% of our audience knows those references.
And I love that 3% of the audience.
It's true.
So to the Scout Regiment, you've switched into something different, so that's fun. I guess that means it's time to go.
Yeah.
Thanks for listening, everybody. Subscribe to the show wherever you get your podcast, and on America the Podcast Presents on YouTube. Andrew might still be here.
Marjorie,
the Titan ate him, and now sorry, I didn't go for the nape on that one. Subscribe wherever you get your podcast. Thanks for listening. And remember to fucking vote in these primaries that are coming up, and enjoy your life.
I have 2 cameras. I'm a professional.
Hey, he's got 2 cameras. Subscribe to this wherever you get your podcast. It's on its own feed, and in the America the Conversation feed, and on YouTube. It's everywhere. Enjoy the rest of your day. And,
before you end this, who's up next on They're Not Sending Their Best?
Mike Johnson.
Speaker of the House. For now.
Legit, by the time we actually get this episode out, he might not be the Speaker of the House anymore.
He may be voted out just like Kevin.
His episode won't come out until I think February. And so like this one, he's probably not going to be Speaker anymore by then. But he is up for to be primaried, though. Just like every single person we are talking about on this podcast. So remember that. Vote in the primaries. You can vote for somebody else. If you're a Republican who likes voting their conscience, you can vote for a different Republican who doesn't harass school shooting victims, who doesn't call for every LGBTQ plus person I know in my life to fucking, go to hell. I think she'd probably want to say that, or be kicked out of the country for being a communist. I don't know.
And when this does come out, we'll be less than a month away from Super Tuesday. So please go into Google, type in "how do I vote?" Make sure you're registered. Do it now when you're hearing our voices. Just get it done. Vote.org is a great resource, excuse me. So go check that out. This has been a great cast, Tim.
Yeah.
I am now going to go watch Attack on Titan. Probably make a space laser in Civ. And then make Judaism my religion so that I can destroy a city that I named Marjorie Taylor Greene with it.
That works for me. And as for me, I'm going to go watch Attack on Titan and learn how to use my ODM gear properly. Good night, everyone. Take care. Watch Attack on Titan. Fuck you, Marjorie Taylor Greene. Fucking hate that woman.
They're not sending their best. They're sending people that have lots of problems, and they're bringing those problems with us.
You've been listening to They're Not Sending Their Best with hosts Andrew Turner and Tim Phillippe. Any news sources mentioned in this episode are listed in the show notes. The theme song for They're Not Sending Their Best is Circus by Music for Videos and was procured through Pixabay before the final version was cobbled together by Timmy Two-Step using the terrible words of Donald J. Trump. They're Not Sending Their Best is mixed and edited by Tim Phillippe at Shway Media Studios in Austin, Texas. The show was created by Andrew Turner and Tim Phillippe and is a production of Shway Media and America the Podcast Presents. For more information, please visit shwaymedia.com and americathepodcast.com. Copyright 2024, all rights reserved.
This has been a production of Shway Media, all rights reserved. For more information, please visit shwaymedia.com.